Hey, Parks Casino and Sportsbook, the number one casino in Pennsylvania, the only casino and sportsbook I recommend, the place to be for fun, action, entertainment in the summertime. Stay out of the heat. Concerts, dining, action, excitement. They have it all right there. Summer happy hours with cool cocktails. 25 craft beers on tap at the open-air Liberty Bell Beer Garden. Seating inside or outside. You can dine at the award-winning Parks Grill Steakhouse. Enjoy farm-to-table fare at the Liberty Bell Gastro Bub. Bamboo Noodle House, Chicky and Pete's, love Chicky and Pete's, the number one sports bar in America, over 3,000 state-of-the-art slot machines, 148 table games, the area's busiest poker room, and headliners all summer long in the state-of-the-art Excite Center, love that venue, an entertainment venue like none other, right in Bensalem with free parking and no parking garages to navigate. Visit parkscasino.com for the details. Street Road exit off I-95 in the Pennsylvania Turnpike. You've got to be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Can I begin, TC, with a tip of the hat to PJ and Randy
Please.
At Creative Outfit for the outstanding edit that they did of my in-studio interview with Yes's John Anderson, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Close to the Edge. Yesterday in the Smerconish.com newsletter, we put forth, and you can go right here on YouTube and you can watch the interview, but they had to do a lot of editing. And let's just explain, why did they have to do a lot of editing? They had to do a lot of editing because on SiriusXM, I was able to play tracks with your assistance from Close to the Edge and then ask him about the lyrics. But for YouTube purposes, if we were playing the music, it would have been a copyright issue. So they had to sort of extract the conversation away from the audio. Am I making sense?
They did brilliantly.
John Anderson looks great, physically looks great, but also, as we say, the production values were terrific. So I may have watched it twice. I may have watched it twice myself yesterday because I was just so thrilled with the final product. So if you're a Yes fan, if you're a John Anderson fan, little hat tip as well to the Paul Green Rock Academy. Watch the video. It's really terrific.
Well, speaking of music, I have a question for you because of a headline from Smerconish.com and Smerconish.com, the newsletter from NewJersey.com. Bruce Springsteen does not care about you. This is an op-ed written by Bobby Olivier, and he is talking about the price of Bruce Springsteen tickets. Here's the lead. Many jilted Bruce Springsteen fans were still fuming Thursday morning, and for good cause. As some of the boss's 2023 U.S. concert dates went on sale Wednesday, prospective buyers were met with massive sticker shock. Floor seats skyrocketing to more than $4,000 each retail due to Ticketmaster's official platinum dynamic pricing model, which allows cost to fluctuate based on supply and demand. And then it goes all the way through the changes in pricing, what Bruce Springsteen tickets used to cost, how he's seen as this populist hero, and yet he's not protesting the $4,000 tickets. So my question to you, sir, is this. What is the highest you
Oh my God.
have ever paid? Like, would you get sticker shock at $4,000
Of course.
I'm just asking.
$4,000 is insane.
Okay.
$4,000 is insane.
Okay. So what's the most you would or could, or for whom?
Well, I'll
of
just
course
tell
it
you the
matters.
most. Okay. I'll be candid and say the most I've ever paid for concert tickets. Well, actually, I saw Bruce on Broadway.
That's not a concert. That's a
Sure
Broadway
was.
show.
No. That was a spectacular, unique environment where he told stories and sang songs.
I know, but that I bet that wasn't $4,000 though. Wasn't that more?
No.
set price?
TC, there's no one for whom I'm paying $4,000.
No one?
No. The Beatles. I mean, if you could resurrect.
Oh, now we're resurrecting
George and John.
Jesus.
Yeah. No, but I paid a lot to see Springsteen on Broadway.
Okay.
I paid a lot for that show. I mean, you could say that time, 5 or 6 years ago, when Liberal Paul and I decided on an impulse to just fly to Chicago.
Oh, if you add up
and
the price
see
of the ticket,
Grateful Dead Fare Thee Well, which was really my introduction to the band. Strange as that sounds, they were on their way out and I was just coming in and, looking for a seat on the bus, so to speak. it's not that we paid so much for those tickets, but we did fly to Chicago.
True.
Okay. And drank and ate deep dish pizza.
Hey, but you didn't need a hotel room.
We did not need a hotel room. The most that I ever paid. All right. I'll take Springsteen off the table and I'll forget the Grateful Dead. All right. The most that I ever paid for concert tickets, and I know that I said so at the time, was about 7 or 8 years ago. God, time flies. Cat Stevens at the Tower Theater. Yusuf Islam, aka Cat Stevens. I had always wanted to see Cat Stevens. Never thought that I would have that opportunity. All of a sudden, here he comes. And interestingly, he was going to do a show at the Beacon in New York, fabulous venue, canceled it because they weren't controlling the scalping of tickets.
Wow.
So he lays on the Tower Theater in Philadelphia instead, and I paid a ton of money to a scalper.
How much?
Come on, you're embarrassing me now.
$750 each.
No.
More.
Yeah. $1,000.
$1,000 each.
$1,000 time two. For me, now there are a couple of kickers to the story. For me, I rationalized it as this is bucket list stuff. Okay. He came back 2 years later, extended the tour, and now I saw him at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia.
How much you pay for that?
No, it wasn't the Academy of Music. It was the Kimmel Center, and the price was like vastly decreased because everybody thought it was a once in a lifetime thing, and then he came around again. I still love his music. Love his music.
No regrets.
And if Cat Stevens Yusuf comes back, I'll see him a third time. But the bummer you might remember is that I'm all in for the tickets. My wife she doesn't come out to concerts, but she wanted to see this one. So we were in the second or third.
That's like double justification. Yeah, I'm doing that for,
we were in the second or third row at the Tower for Cat Stevens.
Oh, I'm getting a memory.
And I'm so looking forward to the show, only to have a woman seated directly behind me nearly ruined the experience because of her screaming and singing along with every one of the songs. Okay.
No.
So now my friend Larry Seisler and his wife Lynna coincidentally were seated directly next to the woman. She was like an aspiring actress. And Lynna is, Lynna's like a psychologist, therapist, specialist. Lynna tried to talk her down, I think. And Larry is such a gentle soul. The other kicker to the story is that Larry didn't pay $1,000 for his seats. He's totally wired in town, and he got his for face value, which was, I think, $200, reminiscent of the time that I bought a suit full price at Burberry's on Walnut Street. Full price, beautiful suit. Larry admired it. He went to Burberry's. It was in the window for a quarter of what I paid. He and I have the same suit.
Somehow the woman singing behind you hurts more when you've paid that much for the tickets.
Yes. And I'm sitting there and the vein has popped out in my forehead.
Oh no.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. She's not that loud. It's not that. And by finally at the intermission, I like blew a gasket and I'm like,
remind me, did you address her directly?
Yes, I addressed her.
And what, did she stop?
No, she did not. Lynna had more success than I did. And then I looked her up on she had an IMDb page. Oh, it was. Anyway, yeah. Thank you, TC. Thank you for asking me the most amount of money I've ever spent for a concert ticket.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. The greatest value I ever got from a concert ticket was John Anderson last week at the Keswick Theater. I'm even.
Good.
CNN has a story that we also posted at Smerconish.com, just talking about how this is kind of sad. They say this summer marks the twilight of classic rock. And they point out that Carlos Santana collapsed of a heat stroke during a show in suburban Detroit. He's 74. Okay. But he's out there. Dylan, 81 and on the road. Paul McCartney turned 80 last month, shortly after wrapping up North American dates on his Get Back tour. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys is 80, touring through September. The Rolling Stones, anchored by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, both 78, are playing. The Who, Pete Townsend is 77. Roger Daltrey, 78, touring through November. Eric Clapton is 77 and touring. Rod Stewart is 77 and touring. Elton John, I think, was in New Jersey this week, 78 and 75 and touring. Roger Waters, who I'm going to see in 2 weeks, 78, packing audiences, arenas all across the country. But for how much longer, can it go on? I don't know. Kind of sad. Kind of sad. It's a lot of rock and roll headlines, TC, from Smerconish.com.
That is true. we cover it all at Smerconish.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Freeman, Michael Gavin, our friend Rich Tao, Jill DiTomaso. I hope I'm doing justice to your name. Some great exclusive content posted at the newsletter. So don't just go vote on the survey question, where today the question is, should Nancy Pelosi continue with her plan to visit Taiwan despite warnings from the CCP? We've got great coverage on that issue today. China has issued a strong private warning to the U.S. government about a planned trip by the House Speaker, which included a possible military response. Yeah, Speaker Pelosi goes to Taiwan. They're saying, we will respond militarily just for her having made such a visit, if she makes such a visit. We also have the story at Smerconish.com today about Vladimir Putin, when recently he made a trip to Iran, and people are speculating that it was a body double. I don't believe that, by the way. I don't believe that. No, I looked at the film footage. I've scrutinized, I've subrudered all of the tapes so far when people have said that there's evidence there of Parkinson's or some other malady.
It really is Putin.
I think that I think that the video I've seen in other instances lead me to believe that he's not 100%, that he's not well. But in this case, I just don't think you can pull off. Okay, so the body double comes off the plane. I don't know if you watched the film footage. And then what? Does Putin take over for the meetings with the Iranians?
Or Putin's already there but can't walk?
And now the Iranians are going to keep that secret?
No way.
Well, the Iranians might try and keep the secret, but the Mossad would figure it out.
Yeah.
And they would reveal it, right. I think. So I don't know, but it's fun stuff. All right. There are 2 stories about Elon Musk at Smerconish.com today, both on the same set of circumstances, but I felt obliged to give you the Wall Street Journal, which contains the allegations, and then the BBC, where it's the number 1 story today. A lot going on in the world, and yet the number 1 story at the BBC is Elon Musk denying what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. TC, do you want to explain?
So the Wall Street Journal said that Elon Musk had a brief affair. And I think brief affair is one night. It seems like it was just one night or a couple nights. I don't know. With Sergey Brin's wife.
The Google co-founder.
So Elon Musk and Sergey Brin, longtime friends, and they had some sort of falling out, and Sergey Brin and his wife then got divorced. So the story was that they were separated at the time, but still living together. Elon Musk slept with her, and that a party earlier this year, Elon Musk fell to his knees and begged forgiveness to Sergey Brin. And although Sergey Brin, according to the Wall Street Journal, has acknowledged the apology, they still are at odds. So that's the story the Wall Street Journal put out. Elon Musk then sent out a series of tweets saying it's complete BS. I've never been alone with her. And he also said something like, I haven't had sex in a while, ha, 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 or something like that. So that's where we are.
Okay, why would he then have gotten on one knee in front of Sergey Brin?
Well,
that's what I want to know.
Did he? One, did he?
Wall Street Journal says, according to people with knowledge of the incident.
Right. So again, did he? 1, 2, was it that, or was it something else? Who knows? I don't know the answer, but there was a pretty distinct denial from Elon Musk. Like there's no way around it. He didn't say like it might have happened or didn't. Right. He said it did not happen.
And he said, and I was with him at a party last night.
Yeah, exactly.
Sergey Brin worth, according to Bloomberg Billionaires Index, $95 billion. Elon Musk, and I don't know if this has been updated with the recent fluctuation in Twitter's stock price, or Tesla's stock price, not Twitter yet, $240 billion, although he might be surrendering some of that to the Chancellery Court in Delaware.
He can still be worth more than Sergey Brin. But those are huge amounts of money both. It also, if that really happened, what kind of sense does that make? Like, that's crazy. And I get it that people that are that ultra wealthy are different from normal people, but
You
That's
mean
just
what's the
all kinds of
difference
crazy.
between 100 billion and 250
No, but
billion?
what would she be thinking? Can't Elon Musk find somebody else to have sex with if he wants to have sex? Or is it some kind of weird, like, I want to have sex with your wife thing? Is it some kind of like, why would she do that? I have so many questions and it doesn't make any sense to me. But again, they're different. They're different people. What can I say?
Are you a COVID virgin?
I am.
Oh, I wasn't addressing this to you.
Oh,
Are you? Yes.
I am. Well, I can't imagine I really am, but I never have
What does that
tested.
mean? I can't imagine that I really am. Meaning you
I
figure
have
like
never.
somewhere along the way you got it.
I must have. Because I've never tested positive. In
Right.
other words, the COVID virgin means you've never. Does it mean you've never had COVID or you've never tested positive? I've never tested positive. My husband and daughter both had it. I was with them without, while they had it and still didn't. And I tested every single day and didn't get it. So I don't know.
So the president is not a COVID virgin. By the way, the White House COVID chief confirming that he's got the BA.5 subvariant and that he's, quote, doing just fine. And we hope that is the case. But there's an Atlantic piece that talks about how America is running out of COVID virgins, which is really well done. Here's just a
Well,
snip.
you are too, right?
I'm the same as you in that I've never tested positive. The last time that I took a test was the night before I flew home from Poland, and that was in May. That was when like a guy had to come to my hotel and give me a test
Yeah.
because we expected to have to show proof. Oh, we did show proof. That's right. When we got to the airport in Warsaw. So I've never tested positive, but I'm like you, where I
can't
think
believe
like,
come
like
on.
somewhere along
I
the
had
way, I
to.
figure I had
Right.
to have had it. Anyway, read the Atlantic piece that talks about how, there are fewer and fewer COVID virgins left. I said the president is said to be feeling much better. We hope that's the case. Steven Eisenberg, former publisher of New York Newsday, chief of staff to New York Mayor John Lindsay, so he's got to be an older gent himself, raising a lot of eyebrows with an essay that he published in the Washington Post, no less, over the weekend. Quit, Joe, quit. How Biden could save the midterms with a one-term pledge. TC, when I said it May 29 in a CNN commentary, and howls of protest.
Oh my
but
gosh. I think
a
I'm still
lot of
getting social
people-
media about that.
a lot of people. And then, the editorials, the LA Times editorial that I made reference to earlier, Trump should be charged for crimes against the United States. Maybe it's not a big surprise from the LA Times, but you also had the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal, two Rupert Murdoch publications this weekend, each saying that Donald Trump is unfit. And the fact that it comes from the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal is what makes each of those significant. What could save Democrats? What could save Democrats from a midterm catastrophe? This is now Charlie Cook. We link to it in Smerconish.com. He, of course, from the Cook Political Report, he and Amy Walter. What could save the Democrats? Trump announcing now that he's running for re-election. The former president drew big crowds in Arizona and Florida this weekend, and tomorrow returns to Washington, D.C. for the first time since January 20, meaning when, he took off on Marine One before Joe Biden's inauguration. So Charlie Cook now saying, hey, there's a line in here where he says, Charlie Cook talking about the significance of Trump announcing that he's running in 2024 before the 2022 midterm. Quote, I am not sure it would save one or both majorities, but it certainly has the potential to have a greater impact than abortion, guns, and January 6th combined, says Charlie Cook. If Trump makes the announcement now, it immediately becomes a referendum on Donald Trump, which would play right into the hands of Democrats as well as Joe Biden. But to go back to the LA Times, the LA Times is saying he's got to be charged. Well, Trump wants to announce sooner than later because he thinks, it puts on ice the fundraising prospects of someone like DeSantis, but also he thinks that it gives him protection against a potential Merrick Garland indictment. And as I discussed here with Renato Mariotti on POTUS last week and on CNN this weekend, when you really look at those DOJ guidelines and parse them, there's nothing in the black and white that prevents Garland from indicting Trump or Hunter Biden between now and the midterm, on the day of the midterm, or after the midterm. As a practical matter, Will Garland stay away from the midterms? He will. But nothing in those documents says that he must. Okay, I could go on and on and on. We talked a lot of classic rock and Bruce tickets. All the headlines are right there in the daily newsletter at Smerconish.com. They're on the website. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching on YouTube. See you tomorrow.